안녕. Welcome to Go Billy Q&A, a new series where you can give us questions and either I or Keykat will answer them. Speaking of which, hey Keykat, how's it going? You want to help me a little bit with this? Okay, fine then. Anyway, so last week I asked for your questions on Twitter and a few of you sent me a few questions. So if you have your own questions you'd like me to answer, go ahead and tweet it to me and I'll respond in the next video. For our first question, we had Domhyo on Twitter who asked, where did Keykat come from? Well, actually, most people don't know this, but Keykat is a rescue bear. Originally I found her at a department store and she was in really bad shape. She was living inside of this small, literally this big cardboard box in one of the aisles. She had twisty ties on her arms and legs, a barcode stamped on her. It wasn't pretty. So I took her home and I've been taking care of her, and you really would not recognize her from back when she was still in that store. Next we have I am Brad 91 who asked, 김치 뭔지 알아요? 매운 걸 잘 먹을 수 있나요? 한국 여자친구 있나요? I think I can guess why you're asking this. It's probably because if you're a foreigner living in Korea, or if you visit Korea and you say one word in Korean, or they think you speak Korean, you're going to be asked these questions probably every single day. Yes, I know what kimchi is. I love kimchi. I keep a giant jar in my refrigerator and I refill it every time it gets low. And I like spicy food. I don't eat spicy food that much, but kimchi really isn't that spicy though to begin with. I'm from LA, and in LA we have Mexican food everywhere, and I think Mexican food is usually a lot spicier than that. But there are some Korean foods that I think are too spicy and I can't eat. For example, 불닭. If you've ever had that, it's extremely spicy, and I can't eat that. But other than that, Korean food's not too spicy, I think. And no, I don't have a Korean girlfriend, but I do spend most of my time hanging out with Keykat, if that counts. And finally, we have Charles Vo, I don't know how to say that, sorry, who said, I'd really like to know more about the word she and attached to names. You see it a lot in a lot of dramas, but its usage is unclear for me. So, good question. Actually, we have two different things here that you're asking. One of them is she and one of them is First, I'll cover she. She is basically, like in English, we might say Mr. or Mrs. or Miss attached before a person's name, like Mr. Kim. In Korean, it works like that, but it's put at the end of the word. And you might say something like Kim Shi, Mr. Kim, or Mrs. Kim. In Korean, you can't simply say someone's name if you're talking to them unless you're really close with them. So for example, if I have a friend named Cheolsu, I can just call him Cheolsu because we're friends. But say we're not very close, then calling him Cheolsu would be quite rude in Korean actually. So in that case, you'd want to attach she to the end of that. And she would make it more polite. Although it wouldn't have to translate as Mr. or Mrs., it does show that kind of politeness that it does in English. And you can use she after a last name, such as Kim Shi, or you can use it after a first name, Cheolsu Shi. And for your second question, actually is only used in casual Korean. So if you have a friend, say his name is Jimin, then if you want to call out to him, in English you would just say, hey Jimin, but in Korean you can't just say Jimin, you'd have to say Jimin to call out to them. And the reason you add is because at the end of his name, he has a consonant. Jimin. It's got a nian at the end. However, if your friend's name doesn't end in a consonant, but ends in a vowel, such as Youngie, then you wouldn't use at the end because her name ends in a vowel. You'd have to use something different. Ya. So you would say Jimin or Younghee Ya. It's the same meaning, but because one of them has a consonant at the end, you use and one of them has a vowel at the end, and you use ya. And that's the end of the episode. I hope that I've been able to answer all your questions. If you have your own questions for me, feel free to send me a tweet or a Facebook message or YouTube message or whatever, and I might feature it in the next video. And also remember that new videos are posted every week, so if you haven't done so already, click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.